Well, top of the morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema, your host of the show. I'm a broker here in beautiful Southern Oregon with John L. Scott Real Estate. And today we have the good fortune of getting to interview Miss Tina Grimes from our local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Tina is the CEO of RVAR, the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, and just a wealth of information. We're going to talk about what happened in 2023 in our local Realtor Association, but also statewide and nationally. We had some changes in the National Association of Realtors as well. So we'll talk about what happened in 2023, and we'll have her also give her some insight into what's coming down the pike in the realtor world for 2024. Ms. Tina Grimes, the CEO of Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, will be joining us shortly. In the meantime, let's take a quick look at our local statistics. We do this every week. This is residential single-family home only, year over year. Let's start with Jackson County. Prices year over year in Jackson County this week were neutral. We have average price in Jackson County for single-family residential of $487,405. Number of solds in Jackson County this week, year over year, were up 17%. Congratulations. We had 34 closings on SOMLS this week. Number of listings in Jackson County were down 2%. That's actually not a bad drop lately. We had 568 active residential properties on SOMLS this week. Josephine County prices year over year in the residential market were down 15% this week. The average single-family residential home in Josephine County this week costing $430,250 on average. The number of solds in Josephine County year over year this week were down 47%. Number of closings in Josephine County this week were 9 on SOMLS. The number of listings year over year in Josephine County were only down 1%. That's almost neutral. We had 274 active residential properties on SOMLS in Josephine County this week. Klamath County prices year over year were up 3%. Congratulations, Klamath County. The average single-family residential home costing $279,856 on average. The number of solds year over year in Klamath County in the residential market were up 28%. Congratulations. There were 9 residential closings on SOMLS this week. Number of listings in Klamath County year over year were down 13%. There were 196 active listings in Klamath County in the residential market on SOMLS this week. So you can see we still need more listings, but the market is definitely trying to stabilize. And that is something we'll talk to Tina Grimes about as well. She's coming into the studio. Tina is the CEO of RVAR, our local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. And we happily have her on the show every so often during the year. She can bring us up to speed about what's happening locally in the realtor world, statewide, and also nationally. We did have some changes in the last year or so. Well, hi, Tina. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, happy to be here. I love doing this.
And it's early in 2024. We're excited to recap what happened in 2023 and also talk about what we're doing going forward. For 2023, we had some volatility and some big changes. Can we maybe start with that?
Yeah, 2023 was interesting. We saw for Jackson County, I'm not sure about Josephine County, but for Jackson County, we saw the lowest number of homes sold, residential homes sold since 2014. So an almost 10-year low.
Wow.
You know, and people want to automatically say, well, it's because the interest rates went up. And yes, that does definitely play a factor. But I think the most telling thing is that because there is so little inventory out there, even though there was nothing really selling, prices didn't really go down.
Mhm. That was interesting, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Sellers didn't have to bring their prices down because there was no inventory to compete against.
Mhm.
So, which a part of that too is, I mean, if a seller, was one of like myself who is, paying around 3% interest on my current mortgage, it's really hard to think about putting your home on the market and knowing that you're going to have to turn around and take on a 6 or 6.5% mortgage. But so that was a piece of it. But we need to be building more homes. That is the end, the bottom line. We've got to be building more homes. We are building less than 1/10 of what we should be to keep up with demand. And
Wow.
it is just a basic high school economics issue of supply and demand. If we had more supply, the prices would come down.
Mhm.
And the problem too is that there is so much regulatory red tape. The latest statistic I heard is that a builder, before they've ever even broken ground, a builder is out anywhere between $60,000 and $90,000, depending on what municipality it's in.
Mhm.
They've even broken ground. Well, they can't build a $200,000 to $250,000 home if they're out $60,000 to $90,000 before they've ever even broken ground.
Right. There's not very many builders that confront that cost.
And so we're not getting the level, that mid-level, the $200,000 to $350,000 homes. We're not getting any of that built because they can't afford to, because there's so much regulatory expense before they ever even break ground.
Gotcha. So we are seeing some more of the upper priced
We
homes
are.
getting built. Yeah. And then we're also seeing multifamily, kind of the apartment.
There is some multifamily stuff happening, but what we're desperately needing is that mid-level single family.
Interesting. And it's just cost prohibitive.
It is.
The entry level. And then also our elder community frequently will downsize into those smaller, what we call entry level.
Yeah. So we're working real closely with both us and the Oregon Realtors, and also the National Association of Realtors at the federal level. We're working very closely with all of our legislators to try to get them to understand the issue and recognize that something's got to be done about regulatory fees, or they're never going to see the type of housing. I mean, they all keep saying they want that affordable and mid-level housing, but it's not going to happen unless the regulatory fees get brought down.
And how unique is that to Oregon versus?
It's a nationwide issue.
Nationwide.
Yeah, we're not unique. It's a nationwide issue. We have never really, since the 2008 housing crash, we have never gotten back to the level of construction we should be at.
Right.
So 15, 16 years later, we're really seeing the ramifications of how far behind we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of that in 2008 was losing our labor force and our contractors. Yeah.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of hits in the construction business in Southern Oregon, because we lost during the crash, we lost our labor. Then we had COVID and fires, and we didn't really come back and build much after the crash because we couldn't get loans.
Right.
So it's a perfect storm.
That is another aspect of it, is that the loan picture has changed. And before the crash, a contractor could do a large development. They get a loan to do 100 homes all at once. Now the banks just won't do that. And, so they'll loan on, here, let's do 3 or 4. And when you get those done and sold, then we'll do another 3 or 4. And so, whereas if they were doing more at once, then it is more cost effective, and they can do some of that. Even with the regulatory fees, they could be doing more of the mid-level housing. But so we've just got a perfect storm of issues going on right now. So,
and now that you're saying this, it's all coming into a big circle that the supply chain, the costs of cement is really, really high. It's not just labor. But as you're talking, I'm adding up some things I've purchased recently, and it was shocking. Some of the prices are 3 to 5 times more than they were even just 18 months ago.
Yeah. It's It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I wish there was just a magic button we could push and fix everything,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be that easy. It's a big lift. It's a big conversation, but we are willing to have it, and we're in the middle of it. So
Yeah. Folks, we're talking to Tina Grimes. She's the head of our local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. We've got a couple of minutes left, and just wanted to talk again about 2003 with the flat market. It seems like we are getting a little bit of a headwind with people wanting to list their houses. What do you think it's going to look like for listings in 2024?
that it's really too early to say.
Too early? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a better idea of that, come March, April, May, because as you know, typically springtime is when things really pick up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a better picture of that at that time. It's really too early to say, but I will say a lot of it's going to depend on what the interest rate does. Whether or not prices do start to come down in response to the lack of, it's a lot of factors. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, we love having you on a couple times a year. So maybe we'll have you back in the early summer. But this January episode, I think, is really important because we just went through so much trauma, and we have just about 10 seconds left. Can you speak to what 2023 felt like for you guys?
chaotic. If I had to sum it up in one word, it was just really different. We've honestly never seen a market like what we saw in 23.
Yeah, it was like that for us too. Well,
Yeah.
folks, we're talking to Tina Grimes, the head of Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors, one of which is Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Don't go away. Well, welcome back, Southern Oregon, to the Real Estate Show. We're talking to one of my favorite people, Tina Grimes from Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Welcome back, Tina.
Thank you.
We just love having you on. You have a great wealth of education. You understand both the community that we're serving here in Southern Oregon, but you also deal a lot with the state and National Association of Realtors. So thanks again for being on the show.
Absolutely. Love to be here.
So before the break, we were talking a little bit about 2023, and your website is amazing, and you track a lot of data, and you just published the 2023 statistics. And in Jackson County, I was noticing the 1-year price change for 2023 was only down 1.5%. And this time last year, we were thinking it was going to be a much bigger hit in the price department because of the interest rate changes.
Yeah. Yeah. In Josephine County, the median only went down 2.7%. And just a reminder to folks, median is different than average, in that median is if you take all the homes sold, that's the price that's smack in the middle. Half the homes sold for less, half sold for more.
Good point.
So it's a little different than average, but the reason we use median versus average is because it is a good indicator of what price points homes are selling in. So the fact that the price point really didn't change a whole lot in either county, it lends to what Alice just said. We all kind of expected that interest rates would cause the prices to have to be dropped because, buyers wouldn't be able to afford to buy at those prices because their payments would be too high. And we really didn't see that. And again, I think that's due to the lack of inventory. It just, the sellers can still get what the price they want because there is nothing else out there. So,
And I think the uncertainty slowed some sellers down. They just took a wait and see. Like, I don't have to sell right now, so let's see how this shakes out.
Well, I think it affected both buyers and sellers. I mean, buyers were definitely like, well, let's see if the interest rates inch back down a little bit before we, commit. And another thing that, and I heard this a couple of days ago, another thing that was really interesting about last year and going into this year, interest rates, once they're set, they stay pretty steady, but that has not been the case where, that might be one day it's 6.5. And then the next day for about a 3-hour window, it's 6. And then it jumps right back up to 6.5. it's been this weird, just constant. I think of it like an EKG heart monitor, where it's just
Oh yeah.
like this all the time, instead of just flatlining.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's if you are out there looking to buy right now, get hooked up with a realtor and get hooked up with a mortgage broker who are watching those things carefully for you. Because it could be that you'll have a 3 or 4 hour window to get a good rate. So
yeah, that's volatility like we've never seen before. And the folks that purchased during the 7% interest rate hike, we'll probably see them refinance first.
I would imagine, yes.
Yeah, but it's interesting because this time last year, we just didn't know what we were going to be facing. And I do remember we thought the interest rates were going to go up to 4 something.
Right.
Yeah, not 7 and a
Nobody
half.
expected them to go up pretty much triple,
Yeah.
double, triple what they had been. Nobody expected that at
Yeah,
all.
it was very, very aggressive.
It was. But at the same time, while like I said, we had some of the lowest number of homes sold since 2014, it didn't affect the market as dramatically as I thought it would. I know for us, as far as the number of realtors in the business, we expected to lose a lot of people getting out of the business because there just wasn't enough activity to keep them in business. We really didn't see that happen. Our membership numbers stayed pretty flat.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm still kind of scratching my head over it, honestly.
So
2023 was just a weird year where it was a very unpredictable year because what you thought was going to happen didn't happen.
And now we're kind of coming out of it. And to look at these 2023 numbers where we're basically starting 2024 with a neutral market. We may have had some volatility during the year, but it looks like we've pretty much recovered.
Yeah. It's a little too early to tell. We'll know better, when the spring market hits, because that's typically when the activity picks up and we get a better idea of what's going on. But yeah, it is looking like 24 might be different.
And in talking to a lot of other agents, I'm hearing that there's a lot of listings coming. Are you getting wind of that?
I've been hearing some, yeah. I myself am not in the MLS daily like some of the other staff members here, but it seems I'm hearing talk of a lot of new listings coming out. Yeah. Which would be nice. I'm not complaining.
Yeah. It'll edge us closer to a normal market.
And that I will say that's another telling thing from 2023 is that even though we saw some numbers dip and things, what we didn't see happen, because what we expected to have happen with the interest rates climbing is we thought that would affect the month's supply of inventory, which is a data point that we track that says taking all the active listings that are currently on the market right now, if no new listings were to come on the market and given the average days on market it's taking for any home to sell, how long would it take us to go through that inventory that we currently have? And what's considered a quote unquote normal market is a 6 to 8 month supply of inventory.
Yep.
And we have been hovering in the less than 3 for years. And we thought, okay, well, with the interest rates going up, we're going to see that month's supply finally go back up to a near normal range. It only went up like 0.2. It's like 3.2 now. It just barely inched over 3.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Yeah. So it's just, it's what we thought would happen didn't happen. The story of that could be the motto for 2023.
That'll be the t-shirt. Yeah. And the poor buyer pool, anybody who was trying to get a house last year, I think the market was uncertain enough. Some people got good deals, but with the prices, only softening a little bit, the good news is they have appreciation. It's just a little bit, But I'm telling you, we thought it was going to be a negative number come January this year.
Yeah.
So, and having to get reapproved over and over, that was a real fire drill for the lenders and the buyers to constantly redo their approval while the increases in the interest rates were happening.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost a 30-day cycle.
Yeah, those increases happened a lot faster and a lot more aggressively than any of us expected. So yeah, people were doing a tap dance there for a little while.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. And it became more common to start getting help from sellers to buy down the interest rate instead of closing costs. We were doing some of that. We haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah, get creative.
Well, and it seems that our Southern Oregon market is stabilizing. Is that maybe the indication you're getting? I know it's kind of early, but I love predictions.
Given how last year went, I'm almost afraid to make a prediction.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fair enough. We're chatting with Tina Grimes, head of Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. We've got a couple of minutes left in this segment. The 2023 transition to 2024, we're seeing some of the volume go up a little bit in the winter, and that's unusual, don't you think?
It is. Typically winter is the slowest time, but we have seen, and I think that's partly due to realtors telling their seller clients, hey, don't wait for spring when you're competing with everybody else. Get your house on the market now. When you're not competing with so many people. So
good point.
I think that's part of it. And I think part of it too is that we've had such a mild winter that it's not impacting things as much.
Yeah, that's true. We did have a lot more steady activity of showings. And we were talking about this during the break, that there's that data point where you can see how many of the lock boxes got opened. They're not all showings, but.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we have the total number of times the lockbox was opened, and granted, that might be the realtor opening the box, this listing broker opening the box themselves to get in and check on the house or whatever. So it's not necessarily a showing, but assuming that the majority of them are showings, it's a good data point for us to kind of get an idea of approximately how many times a lockbox has to be opened before a house sells, and equate that hopefully to showings then. So.
And, we have to take a quick break here, but let's talk about data points that Rogue Valley Association Realtors tracks. And that'll be interesting. We're talking to Tina Grimes, Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Do not touch that dial. Well, hey, Southern Oregon, you're listening to the Real Estate Show. We're talking to Tina Grimes, head of the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Just a quick reminder, this broadcast will be repeated tomorrow, Sunday at 8 a.m. You can listen to all of Tina's good advice and predictions again tomorrow at 8 a.m. on our new radio home, The Ace, AM 1300. So welcome back, Tina.
Thank you.
So 2023 is behind us. This is the age of digital data, everything. And we're really lucky that you guys track so many data points. Can we tell our listeners a little bit about what it is you're tracking?
So a lot of it is through our MLS system. So obviously we can pull the total number of homes sold. We track the number of days on market for properties so that we get an average days on market before a home sells kind of a number. We track prices, of course, sales prices. We track total inventory. We track the key box, how many times key boxes get opened. Those are the basic data points. And then we can break that down by zip code. And we can also break it down, like for the rural properties, we break it down by under 5 acres, 5 to 10 acres, or over 10 acres, because those are the most popular sets. So we can track all that, and property types too. So you have the regular single family residential homes. We track manufactured homes that are on leased land or in a park different than we track residential homes.
I love that you're doing
example.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So different types of properties. We just tons of different data points, but we're always, as Alice mentioned, data is king in this modern day and age. And we are always looking at new data points to track and things that might be relevant to people. And so we are looking at some stuff right now and hope to have some new data points released later this year. It's so early, I can't say what those might be, but we are looking at some stuff. So
how does it get decided? Since you can't, talk too much about what exactly is going to be added, how does the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors make decisions about what data to add on?
So it's definitely a team effort. It's not one person just saying, oh yeah, this is interesting and this isn't, because what might be interesting to them may not be interesting to somebody else, or vice. So it is definitely a team effort. We have, because we share our multiple listing system is shared with the Klamath County Association of Realtors and the Central Oregon Association of Realtors. We have what we call we have a committee. I'm not going to get into the names and everything, but there's representatives from each of those three MLSs on the committee, and they look at different statistical models that are out there, and they'll be the ones to kind of say, oh yeah, that's a good data set. Let's start including that. And of course, then Lauren Hughes, who is our chief technology officer here at Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, he has a lot to do with it, because he can say whether or not it's even possible to track that. So,
oh, gotcha. Because you have a technology hurdle.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to add a data point. That's so interesting. Well, I'm really impressed with the categories that have evolved over the years. And just to loop back to the manufactured home and park, that's a data point that I think is really pertinent, because it is a specialty. And it's also very much where a lot of our seniors go. And so I think a lot of organizations would not have been tracking that, but it's kind of a poignant number. Now for 2023, Jackson County in-park mobile homes went down almost 9%. And that needed to happen anyway because of I guess you'll call it inflation from the fires, from losing all those parks.
Yeah. Those numbers seem to be normalizing a bit.
But the average for 2023 was about 105, and that's in a park. And it wasn't that long ago, it was half that price.
Yeah.
And those prices are down. But anyway, having some diversity in the different data points, I think, helps give a more detailed picture.
It definitely does.
And I really like that you broke out the rural properties and breaking them out in the 5 acre, 10 acre, over 10 acre, because they're different animals.
Yeah. And a shameless plug, if anybody would like to see what Alice and I are actually talking about, we do post those on our website. So if you go to RVAR, so RVAR, Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, the initials, rvar.realtor, and then click on market statistics, you can see all of this information that we're talking about. So,
and it comes out early in the month, every month.
Yeah, we try to get it out by the 5th of each month, but sometimes it's a day or two after that, depending on how the days of the week fall.
Yeah, and it's available to the general public.
Yes.
Yeah, fabulous website. So 2024. Working off of some of what happened in 2023, we did have some new information about how buyer's agents get paid, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. Can we address that briefly?
Yeah. So there's been, I'm not going to, we don't have time today. That could be a whole separate show all by itself to talk about the lawsuit activity that happened in 2023. But what I will say is that what has come out of that is it's been made very clear that buyers, as a rule, do not understand how their buyer's agent is getting paid. And I'd say that's on us. We have not done a good job of explaining that. So that is one push we are making a huge effort of right now, is doing better education of the real estate brokers on how you talk to your buyers and explain how you get paid, because it can be confusing. And for too many years, buyers agents would say, oh, it doesn't cost you anything to work with me, which actually was not true, because it does cost. They just happen to pay it through the transaction. So, so that's a big push right now, is just making sure buyers understand how their buyer's agent is getting paid. And so typically, this is not true of every single scenario, because this is the one thing I want to emphasize. This is all negotiable. You have to work it out with your agent as to how you do this. But typically, I'm not going to say traditionally, typically, most commonly, a seller and a listing agent enter into a listing agreement. And as part of that listing agreement, the seller and the listing broker agree, we're going to offer X% to a cooperating broker to bring a buyer. This benefits the seller because it incentivizes buyer's agents to bring their clients to this deal. And so that's how the buyer's agent is getting paid, but the buyer is ultimately paying it because they're paying it through the transaction.
See, that's the part they don't understand.
Yeah, it wouldn't even happen unless the buyer buys the house. So they are paying their agent. It's just through the transaction. One of the things that buyers out there, consumers are going to see become more common practice, is the use of what's called a buyer broker agreement or a buyer agency agreement. There's a buyer representation agreement. There's multiple names for it, but it's essentially all the same thing. And it's good because you will sit down and you will have the conversation with your buyer's agent of, this is what I'm going to pay you. This is what services you're going to provide me for that payment. And, if we find a listing that is in the MLS and they're offering compensation through the MLS, then that takes care of this agreement to pay you. But if we find a listing that's not offering that, I'm still agreeing to pay you this. But recognizing that then, because it's not through the transaction, you may have to come up with that money up front, out of pocket. So the model that we currently have in the US is the envy of most countries. It's the envy of a lot of countries around the world. In fact, there was just a huge international MLS conference in Paris, France back in December. Yeah, where multiple countries came to that to hear about the United States model and how they could adopt it in their country.
Wow, that's super cool.
Because most recognize that this model is the best protection for both the seller and the buyer. It's not about the brokers. It's the protection of the seller.
Yeah. And it really is very fair, I think, to everybody.
It is. And in fact, the use of a buyer representation agreement is so important that there's actually going to be, so the Oregon Realtors, which is the state association for the realtors, and then also the Oregon Real Estate Agency, which is the governing body that issues real estate licenses in the state of Oregon. Those two entities are partnering together, and they're proposing a bill to the Oregon State Legislature to make buyer representation agreements mandatory.
Oh, that's great.
Now, whether they're hoping to drop it in this short session coming up, but we've heard there's already so many bills planning to be dropped that it's unlikely that they're going to get it in. So if they don't get it into the short session, it will definitely be in the long session in 2025. So it's going to become mandatory at some point. So we're recommending to all of our members, get used to using it now. Don't wait until you have to.
Yeah. Well, and we need to explain to the marketplace, the buyers and sellers, what that is. We're talking to Tina Grimes, Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. We'll be right back after a quick word. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking to Tina Grimes, the head of Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. And we had to take a break with very interesting subject, buyer representation agreements. What else did you want to say about that, Tina?
Well, I just wanted to wrap that up by just saying the key thing to note here for both sellers and buyers is that you're in a it's a deal. So everything is always negotiable. You're negotiating to get the property purchased, but the pieces of that are also negotiable. Even if you've signed a buyer representation agreement with your buyer broker, if you find a dream property and things don't line up for you, have the conversation with your buyer's agent about maybe adjusting that. Have that conversation. Sellers, have the conversation with your listing agent. None of that is set in stone. And I'm not trying to devalue realtors at all, because I firmly believe you guys are essential, and I would never dream of buying or selling a house without one of you. But what I'm saying is, people seem to think there is this fixed rate out there that everybody must pay or everybody must charge, and that's not the case.
Gotcha.
Every realtor will lay out why they're charging the rate they charge and what services they're going to give you for that rate. And multiple studies across the country, and we're actually hoping to do one here locally later this year, but multiple studies across the country have demonstrated that homes that sell without realtor representation sell for anywhere between 15 to 20% less than those who are represented.
Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah. So when you're talking about paying a commission, but you're going to get 15 to 20% more on the sale of your house, all of a sudden that commission doesn't sound so bad. So, and you're getting that professional representation, you're getting that professional negotiation, you're getting a professional to help you with one of the biggest financial decisions you make in your lifetime.
Yeah. And it makes a difference having somebody who's out there every single day in all those different neighborhoods. There's so many subtleties. And I'm not saying that as a salesperson. I'm saying that as a human who buys and sells property too. Yeah. And, you just can't know everything about every neighborhood.
No, I mean, we wouldn't walk into Wall Street and try and trade stocks because we're not professionals.
Right. That's a good example.
We wouldn't walk into an operating room and try and do surgery because we're not professionals. So why do we think we can walk into a transaction that in this day and age, there are so many legal disclosures, there are so many pitfalls, there are so many potential liability situations you could get yourself into.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And general consumers don't have a clue what those are. So why would you try and represent yourself just to try to save a few bucks when you can get that professional representation and have a much better experience, have a much better protected experience, and come out on the other side of it with probably a new friend if you have a good relationship. So.
Yes. And again, going back to the biggest purchase of your life, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You definitely want some professional help. And also real estate agents, realtors, there is a difference between realtors and real estate agents, but realtors are very community oriented. Let's talk a little bit about what that looks like in Southern Oregon.
Well, I'm thrilled that one of the things that we finally got launched in 2023 was our new foundation. So we now have the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors Foundation, which the whole focus of the foundation is to engage in housing related efforts in our community. And so we have set a goal for ourselves to, first of all, and this was started back in 2011, we have a first-time homebuyer grant program that Access administers for us, where first-time homebuyers, which that is defined as someone who hasn't owned a home in the last 3 years. It doesn't mean
that's nice. That's pretty flexible.
Yeah. First-time homebuyers can get assistance with down pay, any closing cost kind of assistance through this grant. And the folks at Access have told us that out of all the grants out there, ours has the least number of hurdles you have to jump over in order to get the grant. So it's fairly easy. But we're thrilled with that. But it ran out of money during COVID because we couldn't do any fundraising.
Right.
We're thrilled that we're getting funding back into it now. Excited to get that going again. We were able to get some funds into it towards the end of last year. Those are already used up. But we're getting more funding into it here in the next month or so. So that'll be replenished. So we're going to keep that grant program going. That's a huge piece of it. And it's good for Jackson or Josephine County properties. It doesn't have to be just in Jackson County. access can cover Josephine County as
Oh,
well.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And that grant
Um,
is for down payment assistance?
Any
or
closing cost assistance.
any closing cost.
So
Wow.
down payment assistance, home warranty purchase, whatever you need, it's good for closing cost assistance.
Nice. Because the closing costs are steep these days.
Yeah. And that's the minimum you have to take the first time, you have to take the ABCs of home buying course that Access offers. You have to put $500 of your own funds in to the closing costs. It's not a matching grant, so you have to put in at least $500, but the grant is anywhere between $1,000 and $2,500.
Nice.
And then you have to be working with a realtor who is one of our members, and you have to be working with a local lender. It doesn't have to be a local company, but the person has to be local. You can't be using somebody who's sitting in an office in Washington, D.C., for example. So
right, because they don't know our market.
Right. So that's really the only requirements of our grant program. Oh, and you have to be below the median household income.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a big piece of what we've been working on. And then of course are working very closely with the Habitat for Humanities in both here in Rogue Valley in Jackson County and also the one in Josephine County. In fact, we're getting ready to organize some realtor build days for properties because they've got multiple building between the two organizations. There's multiple houses being built, so we're organizing some build days. We're going to be doing some fundraising efforts. We in partnership with the Oregon Realtors Home Foundation, we were just able to provide both of them a grant of $5,000 each.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're able to do that this last week, which was fun. I love giving away money.
That is, yeah, giving away money is fun. That's awesome.
So yeah, just working on that, continuing our work with the family house in Grants Pass, which was started by realtors over in Grants Pass, which is similar to the Cheney House here in Medford. It's a place for people who are needing long-term treatment at the hospital to have a place to stay.
Nice. Very nice.
While they're temporary residents of the community, they are using other community services. So it is a benefit to the community overall. And in fact, we have our annual Valentine dessert auction coming up just next week which is a fundraiser for the family house. So,
oh, nice. Where's that going to be?
It's going to be at the Josephine County Fairgrounds in the Floral Building.
Wonderful.
Tickets are almost sold out. There's only, I think, 10 tickets left.
That's great. Yeah. Good job. That's great.
So, and that one is that's a lot of fun. And we usually it's amazing how much money we raise selling desserts.
Well, who doesn't like desserts?
Right. So,
and then do you have any?
So just a lot of stuff going on. We've always got fingers going on in the community. So
yeah. Do you have anything going on in the summer yet, or is it too early?
Well, we're planning on so last year we did a dessert auction here in Jackson County and it was our first time. We're definitely bringing that back. It was a huge success. So the Home Sweet Home dessert auction will be probably in July. We haven't set the exact date, but it'll be July-ish.
Okay.
And that'll be our big fundraiser for the summer, probably.
Wow. You have so much going on. And here it's just not even quite the end of January.
Yeah.
We've got things all lined up.
Yeah, my calendar is very full already.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to want to have you back on maybe in the summer and kind of talk about some of these plans that we've mentioned. And the fundraisers will certainly be fun. If somebody wants to still get one of those few tickets left for the one in Grants Pass, where do they go to get that?
They could just call our office, 541-770-7060 and ask for Andrea. Okay.
And then how are the tickets distributed?
It's just that we have a registration list and when you'll check in. It's not a physical ticket.
Okay. And one more time, when is that fundraiser?
It's next Thursday, February 1st, at the Josephine County Fairgrounds Floral Building.
Nice.
And the 10 tickets left were as of yesterday, so it could be even less now. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So get on the phone right this second. Well, Tina Grimes, it's always a delight. You educate us and you have a great sense of humor. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I love doing it.
There will be a repeat of this episode tomorrow at 8 a.m. on AM 1300 Sports Radio, The Ace, our new radio home. Tina, real quick, what's the website for Rogue Valley Association of Realtors?
RVAR.realtor. So REALTOR.
Well, folks, that's all we have time for today. Have a beautiful Southern Oregon weekend. Tina, please come back later in the summer.
See you soon.
All right, everybody, make it a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye now.